Hello everyone, it's Charles. I'm here with Shota Gaming, here to present to you guys my Arms Warrior guide for Mr. Pandaria 5.0.5. So, as you can see, I have started off with both my character sheet and the talent tree active. I am Arms. I can go ahead and guarantee that right now. As you can see, Arms is my primary spec. I'll even show you guys. I have just been fiddling around with Arms a little bit, and I can pretty much tell you all you're going to need to know now for what's going to be happening here in the next, couple of months here at least. For at least the first 2 raids or so. I think they're releasing 2 raids coming up. I know one raid is this Tuesday coming up. Sorry, 1 second again. So, let's just jump right into it. As you can see, I'm pretty much using the same gear I was using in my Fury video for Arms because they still require pretty much the same gear. Not really much has changed except my 2-hander, and I will go over the enchant as well. The enchant will go, both cover Arms and Fury, and for my Fury guide I will be putting an annotation for the enchant, so just watch out for that. But yeah, as you can see, still using pretty much the same gear I was in my Fury gear, or Fury video rather. And actually, it is all the same gear except for one weapon. But yeah, the stat weights, I'll go over that real quick. It's again hit to 7.5%, expertise to 7.5%. However, expertise is not. It's not crucial that you totally cap out your expertise at 7.5%, because as Arms, you still can overpower when something dodges your attacks. So if you're not expertise capped as Arms, not the end of the world, you get an overpower, which that'll in turn do more damage for you. So it's not the end of the world to get 7.5% expertise, but it's still pretty good to get somewhere relatively close to 7.5%. As you can see, I'm at almost 5.25%. So I'm kind of far off, but again, it really doesn't make that big of a difference because, again, I'm Arms. Every time something dodges my attacks, I get an overpower. So, yeah, and then after that, it's literally crit and mastery, as I said in the Fury video. Crit, however, takes, I believe, more of an edge as Arms than it does as Fury. I mean, 55%, I would still say go crit instead of mastery. Reforge out of mastery if you can, but you still want the mastery. If you have to reforge mastery or crit, choose the mastery. But obviously those stats are higher than haste, so yeah, haste first is the top thing to reforge, then mastery, then crit. Don't reforge out of expertise or hit unless you're going to be over the caps anyway for those things. So that's really the stat weights. Obviously strength is our primary stat as well, but we will not be gemming and mostly enchanting for it as well. We will be doing hybrid gems like the gem you see in my chest right now, the 80 strength, 160 hit rating. We'll be doing those sorts of gems to reach our caps, because right now it is pretty difficult to hit the caps without doing stuff like that. But that's really it as far as stat weights and stuff like that. For talents, as you guys can see, I've got Juggernaut, Impending Victory, Disruptive Shout, Blade Storm, which I will be changing for a single target to Dragon Roar. I've got Vigilance and Avatar. I'll go down the list and tell you guys why I chose each and why I think those are going to be best for us to pick as Arms Warriors. So Juggernaut, this one I really just found was personal preference. It doesn't affect our DPS at all. It does affect our mobility a little bit. But Double Time I could also see, aside from Juggernaut, Double Time I could see being pretty useful as well. So yeah, that's really it. Warbringer I could see more being for PvP and certain instances in PvE, but most of the time you're either going to be using Juggernaut or Double Time. That one's really up to you. For the second tier, the level 30 tier, I went ahead and kept Impending Victory because, 10% of my total health, that's pretty good. Plus, it's a nice chunk of damage for, 10 rage. That helps me not be rage capped. So, yeah, that one really is personal preference as well. I just went with Impending Victory versus Second Wind or Enraged Regeneration. That's personal preference on your part. Third tier, the level 45 tier, it's also personal preference, but we can go ahead and pick up Disrupting Shout because it's mostly going to be the most useful for doing dungeons and raids. Because not a lot of things can be, slowed or snared. Just about everything can be interrupted. Unless it's very, very specific and crucial mechanics of the boss fight, then it can be interrupted. As I said, for level 60, I have Bladestorm right now. It's really just for, grinding stuff and doing 5-mans for a single target. We will be going ahead and using Dragon Roar. If we are on a raid boss that requires AoE, Bladestorm, just go for it. And if it's single target, go ahead and get Dragon Roar. That's really it. Dragon Roar will do more single target DPS, Bladestorm will do more AoE DPS. That's the only difference with that. Really is the only difference. For, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 5th tier, level 75 tier, I still have Vigilance because I find it to be pretty useful regardless of, whatever we do. Just because it's still an oh shit button. Really, as I said in my previous DPS video for the Fury Warriors, we'll be probably tossing between Vigilance and Safeguard. Vigilance is a nice oh shit button to, mostly save a tank, be one of those cooldowns. It's a hand of sacrifice, pretty much. And Safeguard is more or less to help us get out of shit we shouldn't be standing in the first place, like fire or a whirlwind or something like that. Also, it can be used as a, as a nice buffer for damage as well. However, I would still go with Vigilance if you're going to use it as a buffer. Because Vigilance lasts 12 seconds, transfers more damage to you, and Safeguard just transfers only a flat 20% over 6 seconds. Again, it's really personal preference on that one. And for the last tier, as I said in the Fury video, Bloodbath we will be using on boss fights where we need steady DPS. If we know we're going to have that, short, quick burn phase, with Bloodlust, and we have to get a ton of damage out really, really, really quick, we're going to be using Avatar for those instances. For everything else, where it's like, alright, this isn't a DPS race, there's no crazy enraged timer we have to meet, we're not pumping Bloodlust right off the bat to, get as much damage in as possible before X mechanic shows up. We're going to be using Bloodbath. Other than that, Avatar. That's really the key differences between those. Avatars for those boss fights where you're going to need that quick burst of, insane DPS to help bring the boss down that much quicker. Bloodbath is for nice, slow, steady burns. That really is the only difference. And with Bloodbath, more so Bloodbath than Avatar. You want to do it for Avatar as well, though, but Bloodbath mainly, we're going to want to, before we pop it, make sure we are capped on Rage. Just make sure we're capped on Rage so we can spam our abilities in that 12-second window, get as much damage as possible with Bloodbath. Because from what I'm gathering anyway, from what I've seen and tested on dummies and bosses, in 5-mans at least, however much damage we do in that 12 seconds with our special attacks affects how much damage we do with Bloodbath once the 12 seconds are done. So, yeah, we're going to want to be rage capped before we pop Bloodbath and just go to town with everything we possibly can. And with Avatar, it's pretty much the same thing. It's just not as crucial that we're rage capped because it does help us generate 30% extra rage. That really is the key difference between those two. For Glyphs go, Colossus Smash is going to be one of our primary glyphs. Unending Rage will probably be our bread and butter glyph that we will never, ever, ever change unless it actually does start hindering our DPS, which right now I don't see it doing that, but definitely keep Unending Rage. Colossus Smash will be changing out for different glyphs. I believe Bull Rush might be helpful. Blitz might be helpful for PvE or PvP anyway. And let me see if I can find it. Long Charge would be helpful. Same thing with Mortal Strike for PvE, as well as Overpower. Pretty much Overpower, Mortal Strike, and Long Charge are all, glyphs that we're going to be using on varied fights. We're not going to be using them for every fight, but definitely varied fights. Actually, I just realized this too, and I'll put this in an annotation in my Fury video. But Glyph of Recklessness. We can use this glyph, but right now it's not a DPS increase on its own. So say we go ahead and pop all of our cooldowns because we have Bloodbath enabled, and we pop Recklessness. If we have the Glyph of Recklessness, it's going to hinder our DPS versus help it. The only time Recklessness helps is when we need that long burn phase instead of a quick short one. But then you would have your Avatar instead of your Bloodbath anyway, but still, Recklessness is one of those glyphs we will be switching out from time to time depending on what the fight needs. But really, that's about it. For minor glyphs, it doesn't matter. Those are all visual effects, not going to help or hinder your DPS at all. Rotation. It is fairly simple. You go up to the target, you either, charge in, heroic leap in, one of the two. You get your Colossus Smash off. You start hitting with Mortal Strike, and you wait for your Overpower procs to come in with what is that? I can't even remember. With, God, I can't remember the name. I'm such a noob warrior. I don't know why you guys are watching this video to begin with, but, no, it's, Lamb's Slaughter, I believe. If that is the, correct... Oh, no, Taste for Blood. There we go, Taste for Blood. So, yeah. That is our bread and butter right there. Every time we use Mortal Strike, we can use Overpower. So, yeah, that is pretty damn good. And as you see right now with Taste for Blood, every time we overpower, every time Overpower hits, we have a 30% chance to enable the use of an additional Overpower and increase the damage of our next Heroic Strike or Cleave within 15 seconds by 100%. So our either Cleave or Heroic Strike will be hitting 100% harder, stacking up to 5 times, up to 500% harder, I believe. That's a really neat passive for Arms Warriors that Fury just doesn't get. And then the Arms Warriors also have Sudden Death, where our melee attacks have a 20% chance to reset the cooldown on Colossus Smash. Really, all this means is you're going to be Mortal Striking, Colossus Smashing, and spamming the fuck out of Overpower as much as you possibly can. When you start getting close to the Rage cap, which is, 120, you're going to be slamming or Heroic Striking. If you have, a couple of stacks of Taste for Blood, go ahead and use Heroic Strike. Don't even bother slamming. Your Heroic Strike will hit harder. Actually, you could be able to do both for increased DPS because both are not on the cooldown. I'll go ahead and show you guys now once I get enough rage. Here we go. So, as you see, I have 77 rage, and I just overpowered and Heroic Striked at the same time. Actually, no, I didn't. I'm sorry. It's one or the other. So, you will definitely want to go ahead and cast Heroic Strike if you have the Taste for Blood procs. If you don't, go ahead and slam. It'll be a bigger DPS boost for you. That's really it. As I said, use Colossus Smash on cooldown, Mortal Strike on cooldown, hit Overpower as often as you can. Enchants, I'm sorry, I should have gone back to this. Enchants, right now we're going to be using Wind Song. It has a chance to proc either a Mastery buff or a crit buff, they do not, as far as I can tell, they do not stack and they both can proc at the same time. I'm not entirely sure, though. I've seen myself have both the, two Windsong procs as arms, and I think actually both of them were crit, but neither one of them was going through, so I think that's a little glitch with the enchant right now. Blizzard's probably not expecting people to be raid ready, 4th day into the release of the expansion, but a lot of us are, so yeah, just be wary of that. Windsong is our best in slot enchant right now because, as I said, it has a chance to proc either crit or mastery. It's randomized on that, so, don't fret if it gives you mastery a couple times in a row. It can give you crit. You're just getting proc for mastery instead of crit, and vice versa. So don't worry too much about that. AoE, our rotation, it's pretty much cleave, because cleave will do more damage than whirlwind. That's really the only difference, I believe. And that's about it. So yeah, again, if I left anything out, I will go ahead and put them in annotations, across the screen where I, made the mistakes. As far as, annotations go, while I'm on that subject, in the top left will be an annotation to my previous guide, which will be the Prot Warrior guide, and in the top right will be the link to my Fury Warrior guide, which is the first video I did. So you can go ahead and click on any of those links. They should have been up the entire video anyway, so go ahead and click on those if you want to see Protection Warrior or Fury Warrior. That's it, guys. Again, if I left anything out, I will go ahead and put annotations in, and I will tell you guys what add-ons I'm using as far as, what you see on the screen now, like the numbers coming down here, the numbers on the side, all of that stuff. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys got a little more insight onto Arms Warriors. And my name is Shadow here with Shadow Gaming. I will talk to you guys next time.